Welcome back to Conversation to Close. This is Sean, and today we're going to be reviewing a question that I received from one of my community members. The question was, what do I do when someone wants to sell a portfolio? All right, great question. First and foremost, what's a portfolio? Very simply put, a portfolio is a bunch of properties that's owned by one person, one LLC, one entity. So when a seller, has a portfolio, a lot of times they'll sell a chunk of it for whatever reason. They could sell the whole thing, they could sell one or two properties, and everything in between. That's a portfolio. So for this example, let's say the seller has 10 properties in their portfolio, they'd like to sell five. So here's the information that you want to find out in addition to your normal discovery process, whatever your sales process is, on how you figure out all the information about the home, the property, the motivation, the seller. In addition to that, the only other thing that you need to find out is if they want to sell this chunk of their portfolio piecemeal, meaning one contract per property, or if they want to sell it in bulk. And the reason why you want to figure that out is because one of those is going to severely diminish your buying pool, and that's the bulk buy. So let me get into that a little bit. Let's say, for example, same person, 10 properties in their portfolio, they want to sell five, and they say, hey, I want to sell them all in one shot. You run your numbers, you do your thing, final number breaks out to about $100,000 a piece. That means that you have to find a buyer that can afford and wants to close on $500,000 worth of property in one shot. Is it possible? Absolutely. There are buyers and investors that will close on millions, multi millions of dollars if it's a good deal. The question is, do you have those investors' phone numbers? I mean, like I tell everybody, you can get a deal under contract, but can you sell it? And in order to have the best chances of selling a deal, you need to have the people's numbers that buy them. So, whether you have those numbers or not, it's going to be much easier if you can convince the seller, or if the seller is okay with piecing out the portfolio. Because then, instead of having to find one buyer that can afford $500,000 for five properties, now you can find five regular buyers at $100,000 a property each, which is going to be much easier. So you have to find out, and again, it doesn't have to be in the beginning. It's not going to be your immediate question. Whatever it is during your sales process that you typically do, you want to find out, in addition to everything else, hey, are you willing to let me piece these out? Or did you want to sell them all in one shot? And then let them answer. Hopefully, their answer is, oh, yeah, we can piece them out. If it's not, you've got a little bit of work in front of you. And I would be completely upfront and honest. You can even do a pattern interrupt. You can say something along lines of, hey, are you interested in allowing me to piece these out to get them moved, or did you want to sell them all in one shot? The reason why I'm asking is because, and then you go into exactly what I just said before, it's going to be much harder to find a buyer that can afford five properties, three properties, 10 properties, whatever the situation is for your seller that you're working with the portfolio. It's going to be much harder to find one buyer to buy all of that than it will be to find a buyer for each one. And this is also a great setup into the end of the process with the seller, which I'll go over in a minute. As far as that is concerned, that's the only real extra information you need to know, especially if you're doing the typical discovery that I teach everybody in the community. That's really the only extra thing you need to know. Then you go through the process as normal. So in this situation, the person in my community, if I remember correctly, the seller has two properties and a vacant lot of land that they're looking to move. So once I determine if they're willing to piece it out or sell it all in bulk, which doesn't really matter on this next part, but once I determine that, then I'm going to underwrite it as normal. I'm going to underwrite it for a cash deal. I'm going to underwrite it for a creative deal. I'm going to underwrite it for a novation deal and anything else that I think will apply as an exit strategy, just as I would if it was any other property that wasn't attached to a portfolio. Once I have all that information, then I'm going to build my offers out, plan out what I'm going to say. Am I going to push more for cash? Am I going to push more for creative? So on and so forth. And that's basically it. Now, when it comes to talking to a seller that is an investor that has portfolio, that has a bunch of properties, that's a whole different video. I will say this though, 9 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10, if you're talking to someone that's looking to move either a chunk or all of their portfolio, they're probably retiring, and those people are super chill to talk to. The only advice that I can give you when you're dealing with them, be upfront, be transparent, and be genuine. Let them know what's going on and tell them that you want to help them. That's pretty much it. That's all I've got. If you have any other questions, let me know. Shoot me a message. Have a great rest of your day. Talk to you soon.